Hey gang, welcome back. This is part 2 of the Jeep Cherokee XJ build. Today I'm going to get all the electronics installed and we're going to get it moving. So I've already taken out these hexes for the motor mount. And this comes out. This is where we're going to be mounting the motor. You can see that the planetary gear came out. And then here it is in here. I'll have to reseat it because when you pull it out, when it's gravity kind of pulls it out of place. There's no bearings or bushings. The gears just sit on the posts, so we're gonna have to add some grease on there just to be safe. So let me get this reseated. I'm gonna get the gears out and then we'll lube it up. Like I mentioned, it comes with a little bit of grease, but we're going to add some more silicone grease to it. There we go. We'll get all these gears back in place. There we go. We're going to add just a little more grease to the actual gears itself. There you go, just some dollops in there. So we're going to use this 35 turn motor. I've already mounted the 13 tooth pinion on here. Hopefully I mounted it properly enough. I did mesh it up inside there earlier just to test, and it appears to be the proper distance. So you mount it to this plate, and then you got to line up the screw holes in there for these. So what I'm going to do is put just a little bit of Loctite on there. Since I'm mounting, or since I'm using metal to metal. Okay, addendum. They actually give you 4 screws, but it's impossible to mount more than 2 because the holes don't line up. So, just so you know. Now we got to mount it in here, which gets a little finicky because, as I mentioned, when you turn the gears and it's gravity works against you if you have it down. So I got to get it mounted while this is being held up. So there's these 2 hexes here. You screw them in top and bottom. Let's see if we can get it working. So a little trick, spinning the drive shaft while you're trying to line up the motor helps a ton. So we're going to do a little more Loctite on these since we're going metal to metal. Got the motor mounted up. This is our Hobby Wing 1080 quick run. XT60 connection. I'm just gonna kind of I'm just going to kind of set it in place. No intention of it being there forever. I'm going to move it at some point. But this is just to get started. The receiver is going to go here. So, you know, it can reach. Probably temporarily mount the power button there. Let's see. Alright, so ESC is mounted. I just used a zip tie for the power button. I'll do some wire cleanup later. This is going to be our receiver. This is a Radio Link R6FG. We're going to mount it with some more double-sided tape right there. And we'll hook these up. Oh, we're gonna mount the steering servo. Alright, we're gonna mount the steering servo. It's a 35 kilogram. Alright, just be aware, if you do this build from scratch, they don't actually give you the hexes to mount the steering servo. So it's a good idea to probably have some on hand. So let's see if we can get it mounted. Before I put it on all the way, I just want to make sure that I'll be able to get it. There we go. All right. Now, I need to mount the servo horn. Make sure it's in there nice and tight. I did provide the screw for that, thankfully. This is an actual Phillips head. Alright, here we go. I'm wondering if maybe I should have used some Loctite on that. Alright, let's get everything connected to the receiver. We'll see if we can power it on. Remember, for receivers, it's 1 to turn, 2 to burn. Servo goes in the first, ESC goes in the second. All right, got the steering servo and the ESC connected to the receiver. I also did just a little bit of cable management. So let's get it powered on. See if it works. Receiver is just a radio link. This receiver is pre-bound, so I don't have to do any binding. The gears turn. I may need to put a little more grease in there. And let's test the steering. And the steering is not working. So let me pull this apart, or let me just investigate why that's not turning, and I'll be right back. Okay, gang, I actually have a spare servo from the Ridge Runner when I replaced those. So we're gonna test and see if this one actually turns. And it does. So it looks like this Injora 35 kilogram servo was dead on arrival. So I can hook this one up. It's definitely not a good solution for long term, but for the sake of testing it and getting it out, let's do it. All right, gang. So I did a little more investigation after I swapped it out, and it turns out I'm just smoking crack. The Injora one does work. So we're ready to go and see what it's like outside. Alright, gang, first impressions, it's actually super simple to put together. I've never put anything together like this before, and I was able to do it pretty easily. Second, I'm not happy with the suspension. The shocks don't fully extend. The axle will stay almost completely horizontal. So hopefully that shock upgrade will help. So in the next video, we're going to be upgrading the shocks, doing the body, adding all the scale details, and then we'll take it on an actual trail. So for now, what I'm going to do is program the ESC for proper settings, try to adjust the steering a little bit because the servo's a little off center, and then we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching, everyone.